Asia Wilson's just a big bully. Look at this. Throws Lexi Hull on the ground. Everything she does is illegal. Look at this one. A moving screen and then pushes Lexi Hull. You think they ever call a foul on Asia Wilson?
They wanted a coronation and got a plot twist. Hours after Aja Wilson lifted another MVP trophy, the noise in Las Vegas shifted from celebration to confusion. The Indiana Fever, shorthanded, overlooked, and supposedly outgunned, walked into the champion's house and rewired the temperature of the night in a matter of possessions. This wasn't luck, and it wasn't a fluke run that faded. It was a deliberate pace change, a discipline test, and a quiet refusal to accept the script everyone else had written for them. What followed wasn't just a road win. It was a message about composure, and what happens when a hungry team chooses clarity over chaos in the loudest moments.
This was supposed to be a night all about Asia Wilson's legacy. She made history before the ball even tipped, but the game that followed reminded the Aces how tough this playoff run will be.
The Indiana Fever have pulled off the upset, the 6th seed, beating Vegas 89-73 to take game 1.
All week, the conversation felt prepackaged. The Aces had the banners, the stars, the momentum, and a narrative that implied Indiana should be grateful just to share the court. The line that kept circulating, "They haven't seen the real Aces yet," played like a warning to the rest of the bracket, a reminder that the champs were about to tighten the screws and show the full machine. Indiana heard all of it and smiled. When you walk in with nothing to lose, pressure slides off your shoulders. The Fever didn't arrive to survive. They arrived to control the terms. They embraced a simple goal: remove the weight from every touch, turn the first 5 minutes into a foot race, and force Vegas to react. If the champs wanted to announce themselves, the Fever would test how long that announcement could hold up against ruthless pacing and clean reads.
And Asia Wilson and the Las Vegas Aces lose game 1 on their home court to the Indiana Fever, 89-73. The Indiana Fever were in control of this game from start to finish. There was a small little patch there in the third quarter. We started saying, are the Aces gonna come back? But Kelsey Mitchell and Odyssey Sims said, no, they're not going to come back. Not at all.
The tone changed instantly. Indiana's first stretch was all velocity and intent. Hit-ahead passes before the defense stacked, smart cuts through the lane, and early clock threes that punished even a moment of indecision. Vegas found itself a half step late to everything. Late to bump the cutter, late to stunt at the nail, late to recover from corner to wing. Championships are built on tiny advantages. Indiana pried those tiny advantages open with a crowbar. Every time the building tried to swell, Indiana punctured the air with something simple and sharp. A slip when the hedge came too high. A hammer action to the weak side corner the second the low man blinked. A mid-range pull-up taken in rhythm, not for style. It didn't look spectacular on a highlight reel. It looked like control. And control travels.
You actually just referenced it twice. It is Indiana. Dropped 2 of the 3 games to them this year, but you haven't seen them since late July. What excites you about that matchup?
That they haven't seen the real Aces yet. They caught us when we were a bit in turmoil. Not only that, they whooped us one of those stretches. So, you know what? We'll buckle in, hone in where we can, and take care of business.
Then came the shift that every underdog expects. A tilt from basketball to brinkmanship. Screens got heavier. Hands lingered on hips a beat too long. Clips started flying around social media with fans arguing about flops, elbows, and the gray area between tough and too much. In those moments, teams reveal who they really are. Some chase whistles, some chase drama. Indiana chased position. The Fever answered muscle with angles. They set their feet early, met force with chest, and refused to get dragged into side quests. The more the game threatened to turn into a wrestling match, the smaller and cleaner Indiana's movements became. Chin up, hands back, contest late. That choice didn't earn applause. It earned possessions. And possessions are the oxygen of playoff basketball.
But on the court, the Fever crashed the party. Kelsey Mitchell dropped a playoff career-high 34 points to spoil the night with an 89-73 win.
In the second half, I just felt like our physicality and our pursuit was not there. Like, we died on screens. You have to have second and third efforts. Even if you know you might be beat, you still have to try hard to get back into the play, and I don't think we tried hard in that category.
Kelsey Mitchell didn't just score, she changed posture. Wing isolations became quiet statements. The pull-up arrived on time like a train, never rushed, always precise. When defenders shaded over, she took the long step into daylight and floated before help materialized. When the big switched too high, she snatched the dribble back to the seam the defense had left behind. This wasn't heat check hoop, it was puzzle solving at speed. There's a kind of scoring that bends a defense until it creaks. With each make, you could see the guessing start. Hips turned the wrong way, top foot wrong, help reaching instead of sliding. Vegas tried to answer with tone-setting bumps and chatter. Mitchell answered with economy. Gather, rise, net. She didn't ask the game for attention. She took it in silence.
If you better not blank on the mission, bitch, you might get ranked. Shot back. Let it go, right, go. What is flash for somebody? You don't want to fight no hitter? No, nigga, I'ma shoot you in the face.
Every takeover needs a backbone. Odyssey Sims kept the temperature exactly where Indiana needed it, flattening chaos when the aces tried to scramble the pace, then stabbing into gaps when they overcorrected. Her drives weren't just rim attempts. They were messages that forced rotations and opened simple reads. When the floor felt like it might tip, Sims steadied it with a veteran's pulse. Lexi Hull's assignment wasn't glamorous, but it was vital. Make Jackie Young work for every angle. She pinched driving lanes, sat on the first stride, and turned north-south power into east-west detours. Inside, Natasha Howard and Brianna Turner played grown-up defense. Early chest-on-post seals, vertical contests, gang rebounds snapped out of the air. Nothing flashy, just the unglamorous choices that pile up into control of the game's geometry.
Lexi Hull was getting pushed all game. Look at that. Like, elbowed, pushed, but guess who fell? That's a legal screen. She leans into Lexi Hull, pushes her. Look at this. Pushes Lexi Hull down. Like, I can't take this crap. I'm sick of watching it over and over. That's a moving screen. And then pushes her again. Look at that. You can't do that. They didn't call any. This is the only one they called a foul. She straight pushed Kelsey Mitchell into A'ja Wilson.
This was supposed to be a night for A'ja Wilson to stamp her legacy, and she's earned the stage many times over. Indiana's counter was clinic level. Deny the first comfort touch, sit on the preferred shoulder, and crowd the space before the dribble began. The result wasn't one spectacular stop. It was rhythm denial that stacked across possessions. When an elite scorer has to fish for a whistle instead of finding her pocket, the whole offense inhales at the wrong time. Here's where discipline matters most. Late hands, vertical bodies, early feet. You can sell contact to a whistle. You cannot sell rhythm to a scoreboard. While the Aces hunted relief, the Fever found the next correct read. Rebounds were ripped clean. Second chances were limited. And with every ugly trip that ended in a contested jumper, you could feel the MVP night slipping into a composure test that Indiana was passing.
And then this pathetic foul to start the game off with. But ball never lies. I love when karma happens. Yeah, miss your free throw. And then here we go. Check this out. Foul. Look at this when she swings her elbows on Powers. And Powers just holding her ground. But it's a foul. Let's go through this. This is A'ja Wilson. I'm so big and bad. No, you didn't get touched. It wasn't that cool. You made a layup.
Every series carries one quote that outlives the game tape. Before tip, the conversation hinged on, they haven't seen the real Aces yet. After the horn, the receipt wrote itself. You just saw the real Fever. Not the version observers skimmed in the regular season. Not the short-handed throwaway line. The version that answers a champion's surge with calculated punches and a run that knocks the air out of a building. History tends to favor teams that claim Game 1. But beyond the numbers, psychology does the real work. It plants a seed in a locker room. We can tilt this series on our terms, and forces the opponent to adjust from a place they didn't plan to be. The champs are still dangerous, still loaded, still proud. But pride alone doesn't change the angles in the lane. Adjustments do. And now, the burden of adjustment has a new address.
But then Aaliyah Boston swings her elbows around and makes a shot, but no, she can't do it. She's a fever. An Indiana fever. She said, that's a flop. That's what Caitlin said. Here we go. A'ja Wilson. Look at her trying to flop to get a call. Nobody touch you. And this is the biggest bullcrap of the game. So Kelsey Mitchell goes in for a layup. A'ja Wilson shows them their lip, so they review it. You ever see an Indiana Fever player get a review when they're called for a foul and they zoom in with a microscope and call it technical? They called it technical on Kelsey Mitchell.
Reputation is earned over years. Reality is decided in minutes. The Aces have an era's worth of proof that they can overwhelm you with structure and talent. Indiana didn't erase that. They forced it to wobble. And a wobble is enough when you've built your plan around pace, poise, and ruthless selection. The Fever stuck to their standard while the noise demanded a reaction. That's how underdogs become problems. This isn't about one perfect night or a single hot hand. It's about a repeatable blueprint. Clean spacing, early decisions, no begging for whistles, no chasing chaos. You could see it afterward in how the Fever spoke, not chest thumping, not victory laps, just a calm belief that clarity beats pedigree when the gym is loud. Legacy meets reality at the point of attack. Indiana chose reality and kept hitting it, possession after possession.
A'ja Wilson. Look at that foul they called for. Yeah, saved her. That's some bullcrap. I love Aaliyah Boston. Great job today playing defense. Look at that. Another foul. Bailed out by the refs. I get pissed off. This is the worst one. They call this a jump ball. How is that a jump ball? Nobody even had possession. Aaliyah Boston, that's anything is over the back. Not a jump ball.
Timing matters. MVP morning, upset night. The optics alone rattled the narrative. Add in the location, the champs' home floor with max volume energy, and you get a punch that thuds louder than the score. The very physicality designed to rattle Indiana sharpened them instead. Every shove that was meant to tilt the game added one more chip to their focus. That's the paradox of playoff mind games. If you don't break them, you build them. And here's the twist that will linger. The Fever didn't win because the game turned wild. They won because they kept it small. They refused the extra gestures, the dramatic reactions, the side quests. While everyone argued about clips, they took the next clean shot. While tempers flickered, they bent their knees, slid their feet, and boxed out like it was a drill. That's not flashy, it's terminal.
Money Mitch, put him in a ditch! Who on the Las Vegas Aces is going to try to stop Kelsey Mitchell? Because from what I just saw, they had no answer for her. Kirsten Bell, line right up, smacked. Jackie Young, step right up, torched. Chelsea Gray, torched. Jewel Lloyd, torched. Nobody could hang with Kelsey Mitchell as she goes off.
Playoff series are decided by players who create answers on schedule. Kelsey Mitchell turned decisions into daylight. Take away the pull-up, and she snakes into the pocket. Tag the roller too aggressively, and she leans into that soft elbow jumper. Switch late, and she's already lifting into clean mechanics. The beauty wasn't volume, it was selection. She hunted only what the defense offered, then punished it. Great defenses can swallow freelancing. They struggle with economy. Mitchell forced Vegas to choose wrong repeatedly because every counter had a response waiting behind it. No theatrics, no wasted rhythm. Just the same message over and over. If you're a beat late, I'm already gone. That's how a scorer becomes an organizing principle for an entire team's confidence.
That time, keeping the pivot foot alive and going strong side for Wilson.
Mitchell this time finds a lane to the basket. Inside to Turner. Nice look from Mitchell, which follows 5 Eastern time on ESPN. Mitchell. Lot of arc on that and a couple of bounces.
Championship film sessions are brutal, not because of star errors, but because of connective tissue mistakes. The half-second of ball watching that turns a stunt into a surrender. The lazy footwork that turns a handoff into a straight line. The screen angle misread that gifts a runway. Indiana weaponized those margins with a coach's patience and a veteran's seriousness. It's unglamorous, but it scales under pressure. That's the cultural pivot. The Fever didn't chase a storyline, they enforced a standard. You could feel it whenever the crowd begged for drama. Indiana's response was to compress the game back down to pace, spacing, and responsibility. That approach doesn't always trend, but it survives the parts of playoff basketball that try to drag you into something you're not.
Follows 5 Eastern time on ESPN. Mitchell. Lot of arc on that and a couple in the regular season in Asia. In the entire league. And Sims, they gave her just that space and she took it.
Of course, the champs threw a counterpunch. Vegas found its footing in the next outing, slowed the rhythm, found better entries, and reminded everyone why they're a measuring stick. That's the point. This isn't a fairy tale, it's a fistfight. The initial shock stands because Indiana proved their formula isn't tied to a single hot whistle or friendly rim. It's tied to choices that can be repeated on any court. So what wins from here? Reputation or rhythm? If Indiana keeps choosing clarity over noise, they don't need perfection. They need one more clean quarter, one more Mitchell run timed when the building expects panic, one more defensive stand built on quiet feet and early hands. That's how a team moves from nice upset to real threat. It doesn't shout, it stacks.
Tipped by Sims, so 9 seconds to shoot.
Hull's done a nice job on Jackie Young early in this game. Jackie likes to go north to south. She made her play east to west, has not given her an angle to the bucket or to the rim.
And that was one of the things that was talked about to make Jackie move laterally. She's so dangerous. We got to hurry. Chelsea gets it inside to Young. Rebound by Howard.
Legacy nights are designed to cement hierarchies. This one cracked them. The Fever didn't just beat the Aces. They taught a class on how to keep your rules when the game begs you to break them. They turned elbows into empty calories and pace into protein. They watched the crowd swell and chose stillness. If they keep choosing it, this series stops being a detour and becomes a referendum on what actually wins when the lights are blinding. Pedigree or poise. One side has the banners. The other side has the blueprint. The rest is a countdown to who sticks to their identity longest.
They don't want to talk about it. Yeah, her missing layup after layup after layup. They want to talk about Caitlin Clark missing a three-pointer from half court while she got people falling into her legs. But nobody wants to talk about A'ja Wilson looking like Angel Reese, missing point-blank layups all game long. In a playoff game, 6 for 22.
If you're into deep dives like this, we need you. Our subscriber count is still small, and your support literally tells the algorithm to put women's basketball at the front of the conversation. Tap subscribe, hit like, and drop a comment with the player or matchup you want broken down next. Your ideas shape the next upload, and your engagement keeps these long-form breakdowns coming. Also, we've launched a free newsletter for exclusive women's basketball updates, film notes, trend alerts, and quick tactical explainers you won't see on social. As a bonus, you can download our free guide from our landing page at basketplay.online. It's a concise, practical breakdown of spacing, pace, and advantage creation tailored to the women's game. Perfect if you coach, play, or just want to watch smarter. Sign up, grab the guide, and join a community that reads the court the way the pros do.